Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you to mark Foreign Affairs Day in person, but let me start by thanking Hans Klemm for hosting, as well as Bob Silverman of AFSA and Marty Hurwitz of DACOR. I also want to congratulate a few of the award winners, the recipient of the DACOR Foreign Service Cup, Ambassador Rich Kozlerich, the recipient of the DG Civil Service Cup, Ruth Whiteside, and the recipient of the DG Foreign Service Cup, Mara Harty. Congratulations on these very well-deserved honors, and thank you all so much for all you do for the State Department and therefore for the American people. Every year, Foreign Affairs Day is about celebrating the work the State Department has been doing for decades, and especially about taking stock of the past year. But it's also about looking forward and setting goals for the next one. And the past year obviously couldn't have been a much busier year for all of us, and for every diplomat, everyone in the civil service, foreign service. I'm grateful to all. In the Middle East, we are working intensely on Syria and Iran, the Iran nuclear negotiations, and also on supporting the Israelis and the Palestinians, while they make some obviously very difficult decisions that only they can make for peace. In Africa, where I'll actually be when you watch this video, we're grappling with ways to stop the violence in the Central African Republic and to support the long process of reconciliation in Mali. At the same time, we're taking advantage of the great opportunities that we have to work with a number of African countries, and especially the young people in those countries, as partners for prosperity. In the Asia Pacific, we're doing all that we can to ease regional tension and to help resolve maritime and territory disputes. And you all just saw the terrific visit of the President to the region. Here in the Americas, in places like Venezuela, we see leaders who clearly seem to be more interested in rehashing the politics of the past than addressing the legitimate concerns their citizens face today. Now, where is this truer today than in the Ukraine, where we are working closely with our NATO allies to protect the values upon which our very alliance was founded. And then there are, of course, all of the challenges that we know have no borders, challenges that affect every generation on every continent. Climate change that threatens the future of our planet, the deeply troubling state of our ocean, gender equality, human trafficking. Unfortunately, the list does go on. Diplomats have a critical role to play in addressing all of these global challenges. Here at the State Department, we have the privilege of being the personnel department of Article 2, Section 2 of the Constitution. Our work is not just about executing foreign policy. It's about setting foreign policy. It's about diplomacy, active, aggressive diplomacy. And that goes for every single State Department employee at posts all over the world, on the front lines of so many struggles for freedom, prosperity, opportunity. And I'm not only talking about the things that you read in the headlines, though I couldn't be prouder of our team in places like Ukraine and the Middle East. But as you know better than anyone, so much of the State Department's successful diplomacy happens under the radar. When we're giving civil society a voice in a nation that tries to keep that voice quiet, that's American diplomacy at its best. When we're helping countries make the transformation from aid to trade, that's also diplomacy. When we're putting in the daily effort to build relationships, address concerns, and maintain our strongest alliances, that's the heart of diplomacy. And every day, diplomacy is helping us address the enormous challenges that we face all over this planet. One of our biggest challenges, however, is right here at home. The auditorium you're sitting in is named for one of our country's greatest secretaries of state, Dean Acheson. And he once told his fellow State Department employees, "You are dealing with matters which, though they affect the life of every citizen in this country intimately, do it in ways which it is not easy for every citizen to understand. Those words easily describe the work we do today. Between our vastly polarized political system and a new isolationism that seems to be brewing, it is clear that we need to do a better job of explaining to the American people why there is no greater return on investment than the one you get from diplomacy and development. Yes, you bet, it's difficult work. And yes, it can sometimes even be dangerous work. In a few minutes, you all are going to head down to the memorial plaque where Antoinette Beaumont-Thomasec's name will be added to a list that's far too long of brave and dedicated public servants who remind us every day of the risks and the sacrifices involved in diplomacy and development. But the fact is that the work that State Department and USAID employees do, the sacrifices that you and all the others make day in and day out, ultimately make the world a safer place. You know that better than anyone. So I ask all of you, help us to carry that message to our fellow Americans. I know a lot of you thought your career in diplomacy was behind you, but we need you to serve as diplomats where you live, where you travel, wherever you are. We need you to help us talk to Americans about what's at stake and why our engagement has never been more important than it is now. And we need you to help us recruit the diplomats of the future, because our work is not going to get any less relevant or less important anytime soon. We are all part of a great enterprise. And as the son of a Foreign Service officer, I'll tell you, it's an enterprise that I have admired all my life. Now that I've spent some time here myself, I know that the State Department is not only a workplace, it's a team and it's a family. And once you're a part of that family, you're in it for life. So thank you for honoring that role, for taking the time to return to Foggy Bottom and attend Foreign Affairs Day, and thank you for all that you will continue to do for our nation.